Hi, I'm Jack Van Horn, and in this presentation, I'll be discussing the value of selecting the right business communication strategies in the modern workforce. To kick things off, though, here's something to think about. According to a recent McKinsey report, employees spend up to 28% of their work week reading and responding to emails. And many of those messages could be better handled through a different communication method. That's why learning how to choose the right communication method or approach is more important than ever. So, in this video, I'll cover a few communication strategies, real world examples of how they're used effectively or ineffectively, and I'll also connect it to all important concepts like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, reference groups, and generational differences in the workplace. So, face to face communication is still one of the most powerful forms of communication in the workplace, especially for emotionally sensitive or high stakes topics. It helps with immediate feedback, body language interpretation, and building trust. Now, a real world example of this would be in my part time job at UPS, when a manager gave feedback to a team member over email instead of in person, and it caused confusion and some hurt feelings. Not to get too specific, though, when they later held a face to face meeting, it was much more effective, and the employee actually felt respected overall. So, a lot more effective than your typical email or just sending out a text. There's even a connection to Maslow here, which I saw as this strategy supports Maslow's need for belonging and esteem because people feel more seen and valued when they're spoken to directly. Digital tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, or email are good for asynchronous communication or when working with remote or global teams. It keeps a record of communication and allows people across time zones to collaborate. So, for an example, again, during a group project, our team used a shared PowerPoint document and Microsoft Teams to keep track of updates on our presentation. It helped everyone stay aligned without needing constant Zoom calls and meetings. It was a lot easier. And even a little generational insight, too, is that millennials and Gen Z are comfortable using digital platforms, while older generations, largely speaking, might prefer more formal communication. Being aware of this can help tailor messages based on the audience's preference. Now, storytelling is an often overlooked but highly effective method for motivating teams and connecting with people on a human level. It helps clarify the message, spark emotion, and make the content more memorable. For example, in many of my classes that I have with Professor Art, he uses many stories and just examples of personal experiences that he's had in his business experience, and it really helps to paint the picture, an accurate picture of what to expect once we get out into the workforce and into the workplace, because it's a lot different than what you can expect from just reading off of a textbook. And even our little reference groups insight, just to throw it back to that topic, this strategy speaks to reference groups. Audiences look to brands or leaders they respect or identify with. So if your communication aligns with the values of your audience's group, it's more likely to resonate, which can be done really well with the method of storytelling. Now, with the rise of remote work, multicultural teams, and tools like Zoom, Slack, and Asana, communicators have to be more intentional. What works in person may not work across a screen. Understanding cultural context and adapting to the tone and format is key to avoiding miscommunications, which there can be many. In summary, though, really just to wrap this whole thing up, choosing the right business communication strategy, whether it's face to face, digital, storytelling, it depends on the audience, the message, and the context. Applying concepts like Maslow's needs, reference groups, and generational awareness helps us to be smarter and make more strategic decisions. And really improving my communication won't just help me in my future career, though. It will help me to be the kind of leader who listens, adapts, and connects with people in a meaningful way, which I think all of these concepts are really going to help me do in the future. So, thank you for watching.